why we get jealous. And it's actually normal. Picture this. You see your partner smiling at a stranger, and something immediately tightens in your chest. Sound familiar? What if I told you that in that very moment, your brain launches the exact same program that helped our ancestors survive for hundreds of thousands of years? Here's a fact that might surprise you. 95% of people regularly experience jealousy in relationships, but only half are willing to admit it. Why? Because we view jealousy as something shameful, a sign of weakness or immaturity. But modern science reveals an amazing truth. Jealousy isn't a glitch in the system of human emotions. It's an essential feature. Your brain doesn't get jealous by accident. It follows a precise algorithm developed through millions of years of evolution. And today, we're going to decode this algorithm piece by piece. Jealousy is one of humanity's most paradoxical emotions. On one hand, it can transform a loving person into a controller and tyrant. On the other hand, it's an incredibly sophisticated psychological mechanism that developed over centuries and serves the vital function of protecting intimate bonds. Today, we live in a world where emotions are often categorized as either good or bad. Joy is good, anger is bad, love is good, jealousy is bad. But what if I told you that jealousy isn't your enemy, that it's an internal guardian of your relationships, one that sometimes goes overboard but generally works in your favor? Here's what we'll discover today. First, we'll peek inside your brain and see what happens when you feel jealous. You'll witness which ancient centers activate and why it becomes so difficult to think rationally during moments of jealousy. Next, we'll journey through human history to understand why evolution created this mechanism in the first place. Spoiler alert. Without jealousy, you wouldn't be here today. After that, we'll examine different types of jealousy, from healthy to pathological. We'll learn to distinguish useful signals from destructive obsessions. Finally, I'll give you concrete tools for managing jealousy. By the end of this video, you'll understand jealousy isn't something to fight against. It's something you need to learn to manage. Part 1. The neurobiology of jealousy. What happens in your brain? Imagine your brain as an ancient castle with a modern security system. At the very heart of the castle sits a small but highly anxious guard called the amygdala. Its job is to scan the environment and shout, "Danger!" at the slightest threat. Now you've seen your partner texting someone and smiling at their phone. The guard immediately sounds the red alarm. Competition! Relationship threat! Act now! A cocktail of cortisol and adrenaline floods your bloodstream, the same hormones that helped our ancestors escape from predators. But here's the paradox. The louder the guard screams, the worse your chief advisor works. The prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain responsible for logic, planning, and impulse control. During intense jealousy, it literally shuts down. This is why jealous people do things they later regret. Checking their partner's phone, creating scenes, jumping to conclusions. Now here's the most interesting part. Your brain contains special cells called mirror neurons. Their job is to model others' actions and emotions. When you're jealous, these neurons literally start playing out scenarios of infidelity. Your brain creates such vivid pictures that they feel like reality. You don't know anything for certain yet, but you're already experiencing it as if it's already happened. It's important to note that this mechanism works differently in men and women. The male brain during jealousy more strongly activates areas linked to aggression and territoriality, a legacy from times when physically protecting one's mate was necessary. The female brain engages more areas of emotional processing and social analysis, since for women, it was always critically important to retain a partner as a source of resources and protection. But there's good news. The same brain that creates jealousy can learn to manage it. The prefrontal cortex is like a muscle that can be trained. When you feel a surge of jealousy, try pausing for 6 seconds. That's exactly how long your chief advisor needs to come online and take control over emotional reactions. Understanding these mechanisms is the first step towards stopping being a slave to your emotions and becoming their master. Next, we'll learn why evolution created this complex and painful mechanism in the first place. Part 2: Evolutionary Roots of Jealousy, a Survival Mechanism. Let's travel back 50,000 years. You're a hunter-gatherer living in a small tribe. Resources are limited, dangers are numerous, and survival depends on cooperation. In such conditions, losing a partner isn't just a broken heart, it's a threat to existence. Picture a caveman named, say, Grok. He has a partner, Shala, with whom he's raising children. If Shala leaves for another male, Grok doesn't just lose a helper in gathering food and protecting offspring. There's a risk he's been feeding and protecting another's children for years. From evolution's perspective, complete failure. Now imagine Shala. If her partner Grok shifts attention to another female, it means resources, food, protection, care, will be divided between families. For her children's survival, this is deadly dangerous. Therefore, nature created jealousy as an early warning system. Those who could recognize threats to their relationships in time and take action had better chances of passing genes to offspring. Those who ignored signals or couldn't fight for their partner were eliminated from the genetic lottery. Notice an interesting detail. Men and women experience jealousy differently, and this also has evolutionary roots. Men suffer more from thoughts of their partner's physical intimacy with another. Why? Because it was critically important for them to know their children were actually theirs. Women fear more their partner's emotional closeness with a rival. Because emotional connection means redistribution of resources and attention. Modern research confirms these differences. When men and women imagine two scenarios, physical or emotional infidelity by their partner, reactions differ dramatically. In men, thoughts of physical betrayal activate brain areas linked to rage and aggression. In women, the emotional system responds more strongly to scenarios of their partner falling in love with another. But jealousy didn't only protect romantic relationships. In tribal communities, it regulated fairness in distributing attention and resources. If a leader favored someone too much, others experienced something like jealousy and restored balance. It's important to understand, evolution didn't create jealousy to make us happy. It created it so we'd survive and reproduce. That's why jealousy is often painful. Pain forces quick and decisive action. Today we live in completely different conditions. We're not threatened by predators, food is sufficient, and offspring survival depends on other factors. But ancient programs haven't disappeared. Your brain still reacts to relationship threats as if life depends on it. Now that we understand jealousy's evolutionary logic, let's examine how it manifests in the modern world and what forms it can take. Part 3: Types of Jealousy, from healthy to pathological. Not all jealousy is the same. Imagine jealousy as fire. A candle warms and creates coziness. A fireplace provides warmth and comfort. But the same fire can become a blaze and burn everything down. Let's start with the most natural form: competitive jealousy. This is a healthy reaction to a real threat to your relationship. Your partner is actually flirting with a colleague, spending lots of time with them, hiding their communication from you. In this situation, jealousy works like a fire alarm, warning of a problem that needs solving. Say Anna noticed her husband Sergey started staying late at work. talks about a new female colleague more than usual, and changed his phone passwords. Anna feels anxiety and jealousy. This emotion motivates constructive actions, an open conversation with her husband, working on the relationship, investing in her own attractiveness. Such jealousy often strengthens couples, but sometimes it's different. Meet projective jealousy when someone transfers their own desires onto their partner. For example, Mikhail himself tends to check out other women, so he suspects his wife of all deadly sins. He thinks, if I think about others this way, she must too. This creates a vicious cycle. The stronger the suspicions, the greater the guilt, the more new suspicions. Next comes retroactive jealousy, painful feelings about a partner's past relationships. Elena can't get thoughts about her husband's ex-girlfriends out of her head. She studies their photos on social media, compares herself to them, demands detailed stories about past relationships. This jealousy is particularly destructive because the past can't be changed, but it poisons the present. Now it's important to note all these types of jealousy are normal to some degree. Problems begin when the fourth type kicks in, pathological jealousy. This is no longer an emotion but a condition resembling obsessive disorder. With pathological jealousy, a person lives in constant suspicion. They see infidelity where none exists. They interpret any partner's actions as proof of unfaithfulness. The store clerk smiled at your wife, must be having an affair. Your partner came home 15 minutes late from work? Meeting a lover. Such jealousy is accompanied by compulsive behavior, checking phones, surveillance, interrogations. A person can spend hours analyzing every word, every gesture of their partner, searching for evidence. This exhausts both sides and often requires professional help. It's important to learn to distinguish these types because strategies for dealing with them differ dramatically. Competitive jealousy requires working on relationship improvement. Projective jealousy needs work on self-esteem and honesty with oneself. Retroactive jealousy requires accepting that everyone has a past. Pathological jealousy needs professional help. But how do you know where healthy reaction ends and destruction begins? We'll discuss this next. Part 4. Healthy versus destructive jealousy. Imagine two drivers. The first sees a yellow traffic light and slows down. Caution helps avoid an accident. The second panics at the sight of any car in the next lane and jerks the wheel. Both react to potential danger, but the results are completely different. Jealousy works the same way. Healthy jealousy is a yellow light for relationships. It says, "Attention, worth paying attention to this situation." Destructive jealousy is panic on the road that creates a real accident where there might not have been one. Here's a specific example. Sarah noticed her boyfriend Mike started frequently texting a former classmate. A healthy reaction looks like this. Sarah feels discomfort, analyzes the situation, realizes she's lacking Mike's attention. She speaks openly with him. "I noticed you're communicating a lot with Jessica. It makes me a bit anxious. Can we discuss this?" The conversation helps clarify the situation and strengthen trust. Now the destructive scenario. Sarah sees the texts and immediately assumes, "He doesn't love me, he's cheating, he's going to leave me." She starts checking his phone, stalking on social media, creating scenes. Every message to Jessica is perceived as betrayal. As a result, Mike feels like a criminal suspect and actually starts distancing himself. Let's examine the key differences now. Healthy jealousy is based on facts. Destructive jealousy is based on fantasies and fears. Healthy jealousy is temporary. It appears in response to a specific situation and disappears after resolution. Pathological jealousy is constant, a background state of distrust. Healthy jealousy motivates constructive actions, self-improvement, relationship enhancement, open dialogue. Destructive jealousy leads to control, manipulation, and isolating your partner from others. It's important to note the impact on brain chemistry. Healthy jealousy can even increase oxytocin levels, the so-called bonding hormone. When couples overcome difficulties together, their connection strengthens. But chronic pathological jealousy keeps the body in constant stress. High cortisol levels suppress serotonin production, the neurotransmitter of well-being. There's a simple test to help determine your type of jealousy. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, are my suspicions based on concrete facts or assumptions? Second, do my actions help improve the relationship or just create more conflicts? Third, can I control my reactions or do they completely overwhelm me? If most answers point to irrationality, destructiveness, and lack of control, it's worth seriously working on your reactions. How exactly? I'll explain in the next section. Next, we'll move to the most practical block: concrete strategies for managing jealousy. Part 5. Practical strategies for managing jealousy. Now for the most important part: what to do with jealousy practically. Imagine jealousy as a wild horse. You can try to kill it, but then you lose powerful energy. You can give it complete freedom, but then it'll throw you off and trample you. Or you can learn to ride. Use jealousy's energy to your advantage. Let's start with working on thoughts. During jealous moments, your brain becomes a generator of catastrophic scenarios. He hasn't replied to my message for 30 minutes. He must be meeting someone. Here, the thought-stopping technique helps. As soon as you notice yourself spiraling, mentally shout, "Stop!" and switch to analyzing facts. Try the devil's advocate technique, but in reverse. Instead of seeking confirmation of your suspicions, actively look for contradictions. Maybe he's not answering because his battery died, or he has an important meeting, or he simply didn't notice the message. Your brain needs alternative explanations for events. This is a very important moment now. Keep a jealousy diary. Record triggers, thoughts, emotions, and actions. After a week, you'll see patterns. Perhaps you get more jealous on certain days of your cycle or after stressful situations at work. Understanding your triggers is half the victory. Next, we work on self-esteem. Jealousy often grows from the fear, "I'm not good enough." Create a list of your real achievements, qualities, and reasons why you're lovable. Reread it during moments of doubt. Remember, your value doesn't depend on whether your partner cheats or not. It's important to develop independent sources of self-worth. If all your self-esteem is tied to your relationship, any threat to it will feel like a threat to existence. Invest in friends, hobbies, career, self-development. The more sources of joy and pride you have, the calmer you react to relationship difficulties. Now about communication. Learn to express jealousy through I statements. Instead of "you're constantly flirting with coworkers," say, "I feel anxious when I see you joking with Masha. It seems like I'm getting less of your attention." This reduces your partner's defensive reactions and opens space for dialogue. Establish healthy boundaries in your relationship. Discuss with your partner what's acceptable for each of you and what isn't. For some, flirting with others is normal. For others, it's betrayal. It's important that both sides understand the rules of the game. Finally, physiological self-regulation. During acute jealousy, your nervous system is in fight or flight mode. Breathing techniques help calm it. Try breathing 4-7-8. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Repeat 5 times. Physical exercise is an excellent way to burn off stress hormones. When you feel a surge of jealousy, do 20 squats or run around the house. Your body will release tension, your brain will switch gears. Remember, the goal isn't to never feel jealous. The goal is to learn to use jealousy as information about your needs and fears, not as a guide to action. Conclusion. So we've traveled a long road, from ancient caves to modern relationships, from neurons to practical advice. What have we learned? First and most important, jealousy is normal. It's not a sign of your weakness or immaturity. It's an evolutionary mechanism that helped our species survive for millions of years. 95% of people experience jealousy. You're in good company. Second, it's not about defeating jealousy, but learning to manage it. Your brain will continue reacting to relationship threats. That's its job. But you can learn to pause between impulse and action, between emotion and reaction. Third, your brain is remarkably plastic. Those neural pathways that now automatically lead from suspicion to panic can be rebuilt. It takes time and practice, but it's possible. Every time you consciously choose a rational response over an emotional one, you're paving a new road in your brain. And finally, jealousy can become your ally. It shows that relationships matter to you. It can motivate growth, self-improvement, and deeper intimacy with your partner. But only if you learn to listen to it rather than blindly obey it. Start today. For the next week, simply observe your jealous reactions without judgment. Write down what you feel and think. This is the first step toward becoming master of your emotions. Share in the comments which strategy seemed most useful to you. Your experience could help other viewers. Remember, understanding how your psyche works isn't weakness, it's strength. Good luck on this journey toward emotional maturity.